Well, you have bad hair.
What did you say?
I said, your hair looks stupid.
Welcome back to Kirill Smashes Acting. I'm Kirill, actor, educator, and once again, cat enthusiast. I hope everybody's been enjoying their memorization apps. Today we're going to move on to the next step in our acting journey, and that is character body. This is going to be a multi-part series, and today is part 1 of character body, meaning what is character body and why is it important? The idea for this video came to me while I was teaching my younger students. Right now I'm teaching kids acting for the camera, and they range from ages 12 to about 18. And we were talking about the idea that not all of the characters we play have to look like us. Now, obviously, we've all seen actors make great physical transformations. Christian Bale comes to mind. Daniel Day-Lewis comes to mind. But it doesn't always have to be that extreme. Yes, the audience will always see us, but that does not mean that we have to picture the character in our head as us. So firstly, let's talk about why that's important. The biggest thing to remember is that if every character is just a version of you, the audience will eventually get bored, and most importantly, you will eventually get bored, and your work will then begin to stagnate. That's the most obvious answer. The other part of it is if every character has your body, that means every character has your opinion of their body, which just isn't true. Some characters might like parts of their body that you don't, and it wouldn't be fair of you as the actor to give them the same opinions about their body as you have about yours. That's taking away their individuality. The other reason it's so important to consider their character body instead of yours is because it changes the way that they interact with the world. So let's talk about what is character body. Character body, in the way that we are going to be talking about it in this series, is the physical body of your character. Yes, you the actor embody them, but that doesn't mean that they're born with the same physical body you have. They might be more toned, they might be bigger, they might be smaller, they might be larger, they might have more endurance than you. All of these things are important to consider when you the actor are building the character. So now that we have a vague idea of what character body means, let's talk about why it's important. So you get a new play, or a new film, or a new commercial, or a new audition, and you're reading through it and you're doing your detective work as the proper actor should, and you're trying to figure out, as we talked about in a previous video, what your points of view are as the character. Meaning, how do you feel about what's going on around you? How do you feel about the person you're talking to? How do you feel about your environment? Are there too many stairs for you? How do you feel about your physical environment? How do you feel about the culture around you? All of these things are important, but your body, as the character, dictates a lot of your points of view. You might decide as the actor that your character body is nearly identical to you, but you might add one small thing. Maybe your character is uncomfortable being touched in the midsection, and maybe everywhere else they feel great, but just right there. This isn't even something you need to share with your fellow actors. But what happens if during a scene, one of your fellow actors touches your midsection? How does that make you feel? That one small little bit of characterization and that one moment creates so much more humanity for your character than you would have had otherwise, simply because you took the time to go back and figure out what your character body is and how your character feels about your body. Thinking about your character body and how they feel about their body also lets you have a deeper opinion about the people you're talking to. Yes, we have a ton of given circumstances. You might already know who your friends are, who your enemies are, but now you can get even more specific by thinking about how your physical body as the character makes you feel about the people you're talking to. If you're talking to a love interest, do you think that they're way above your league? Or maybe you think you're way above their league? These are just some thoughts to consider. So what does your character body look like? When you're reading the character, does it look like this? Does it look like this? Do they look like you? Or do they look completely different from you? Now that you've done your detective work, and you're starting to get some opinions about your character body and about how that makes you feel of others, now is the time to start figuring out how the character body changes your body as the actor. Maybe the character's very short, so they might have to look up a lot. Maybe the character is very tall and they might have to look down a lot. Maybe the character is very large and the way that they take up space might be very different. If they're a large character and they're self-conscious about their body, you, the actor, might want to purposely start to try and shrink yourself, or maybe to give the other actors a little bit more space. The character might be very strong, and because of that, you might look down on the other characters, or maybe you take up even more space because you feel like you've earned it. Really being specific with your character body, just like being specific with everything else that you're doing, allows you so much more freedom to play because you understand where the character's coming from. There's almost no such thing as just too much information about the character. As you rehearse, you'll figure out which ones are the most important bits of information about the character, but whenever you're starting, you want as much information as possible. The reason I wanted to start a short series on character body is because a lot of times younger actors just simply skip that part, thinking that since they are stuck in this body, that means their character's gotta be stuck in this body. But we know that doesn't necessarily have to be true, and it's way more fun if you give yourself the freedom to play with it. So I want you to pick up a play and start thinking about what your character body is. How does that character body affect your opinion of yourself? How does that character body affect your opinion of those around you? How does that character body change the opinion of the culture around you? And then, of course, how does that character body change your body when you're performing as that character? Now, we'll go in deeper as this series continues, but I wanted to make sure I plant that seed so that way you guys get a chance to start thinking about character body before we go any further. I hope you all enjoyed this video. This is just part 1 of the character body series, so stay tuned for more. Like if you haven't, subscribe if you're new to the channel, feel free to share, and I hope to see you back for part 2. This is one of our newest fosters. His name is Winterberry. He and his sister were rescued from the outside, and they're still learning to trust people. But he's really come a long way. Say goodbye, Winterberry. Goodbye, Winterberry. I will never stop being corny.